So last week we shared our little garden project online with you guys, and honestly we weren't expecting so many helpful comments. Apparently I need to net my brassicas, grow a herb garden, grow grapes up the side of the fence and start making compost. Also, somebody thinks the mysterious plant may be a sunflower. I think you might be correct. Chicken Nugget's already busy making the compost now. Now, we've just been camping for 4 days and we did have the most amazing time, great company, great weather. However, we've come back to an empty fridge, 5 loads of washing and a garden that needs some serious TLC. Now, unfortunately, my garden is not at the stage where I can just go into the garden and pick some bits and bobs and rustle something together. So I am gonna need to do a big shop later today. What I can do, however, is bake a bread. There's nothing better than homemade bread. And I usually bake a loaf once a week. This is the recipe that I use and have used for a good few years now. Is that funny? Oh, is that funny? Can you press that one? Can you press play? Are you going to stroke Ghost? Nicely. Where is she? Nicely. Now that I've got a bread waiting for its first rise, I'm going to go and do a big shop, get that out of the way, get some washing out. I'm dying to get into the garden, but I just know that there's some other more important bits that I need to do first. Back in here, 1 more hour. Yeah. Well, that's it for 1 more hour. My 1-year-old's just having some snacks. I'll quickly show you around the garden and show you what's changed in the past week. You might be surprised. So the wild flowers are starting to come through. There's loads of them popping up. I can't remember if I showed this one, but I believe these are either gooseberries or currants. But we've got quite a few of these that have just popped up. We've got a cherry. There will be some more somewhere, but this is the one I'm seeing at the moment. We've also got these. I'm not sure what these are. Some sort of nuts. Quite a lot of them. Also got some little apples popping through. The tomato plant and basil seem to be growing. I've got a little experiment that I'm going to do with these. Now, Triskel Rebel gave me some great advice, and that was to net my brassicas. Before getting into this, I had no idea what a brassica was. Sounds like something a bit naughty. Net your brassicas. This one's for you. I have placed it inside the netting, and then I've also put a little bit of extra netting around it. Hopefully that keeps the butterflies at bay. Then we've got our strawberries and some nasturtiums that seem to be poking through. Some of these shoots as well. Cucumber. Lettuces and beans seem to be going up good. A good friend of mine, Holly, commented and said that we should start a herb garden, which is a great idea. So before I went away, I did a little bit of propagating. I've never done this before. I took some clippings from mint, rosemary and lavender, placed them in some water, and here are the results. I've still got to get a few more herbs from a garden centre, but watch this space, Holly. Next week, we could have our own little mini herb garden. Now it's time for me to put kettle on, and I think that bread's nearly ready. Whilst we're waiting for the bread to do its final rise, I thought I'd answer a few more comments from the previous video. So KL9406 said, amazed that you have chickens at home. I would love to have some too, but feel it may be too much of an imposition to my neighbours. Do you get any comments from neighbours? We are based ITSE of UK. I'm going to assume that means southeast of England. Please let me know if that's not correct. Now, touch wood, we've never had any complaints from our neighbours regarding our chickens, and thankfully they are all girls, so they very rarely make much of a noise. The only time they do make a noise is when they proudly tell us that we've laid an egg, Dad, and that's usually when we run outside to collect the eggs to avoid them becoming broody. We keep the coop clean, and I usually give them a full clean once every 6-7 days, and there's generally no smell to them. They don't take up a huge amount of space, so they are easy to clean. They're also very easy to feed. Because we've got a huge container in the coop that is pest and rat free, I generally only fill it up once every couple of weeks. You may have to check with your contract with your new build. I know some new build areas do permit you from having chickens if they are still developing on it. However, if you've bought the house and those building contractors are not doing any work on the area, go for it. If you are getting chickens, I would definitely invest in a good house or coop. We've got a fairly reasonable sized wooden coop, but I think if we could go back in time, we'd have got one from Omelette, one of those sort of plasticky ones which are a lot easier to clean. Omelette, if you're watching, I know you've just sponsored Jude. I'm here. I would make sure that you have got a fox-proof coop as well if you do live in a rural or even an urban area. The eggs, the entertainment and their own little personalities are definitely worth it. So if it is something you're thinking about, definitely go for it. Now, if you are thinking of getting chickens or you have any other questions, please let me know below. I mean, I could probably do a full video just on owning chickens. Now, one of the nicest comments we received on last week's video was from Nikki, Back to the Good Life. She said, normal homes, normal gardens, no acres required. That is exactly the mindset we are trying to adopt. And I really, really appreciate that shout out. Again, if you haven't, make sure you check her out. I know she may or may not be looking at some similar feathered creatures. If you need any advice, let me know. Nearly time for the bread to go in the oven as it's had its final rise. But before I do that, I'm gonna go pick some elderflower that's embroaching into our garden. Not only do elderflowers look pretty, they are also great pollinators, smell reasonably nice, and they are also edible. Just make sure you are certain of the flower. Don't go eating anything you're not 100% sure of. I'm going to attempt some elderflower cordial, which I will cover in the next video. So make sure to hit that subscribe button to follow along for the journey. I've left it to rest here for about 10 minutes. As you can see, it's lovely and soft now. That's actually really good. I know this is going to sound a little bit deep now, but that bread is sort of my life at the moment. I've got all these ingredients, for example, the garden, the space, the ideas. I just need to put them all together, let them grow, give them a little bit of love, let them grow even more, and the end result will be pretty damn good. I mean, I'm not gonna say my bread is perfect. I'm starting to realize now that's not how it works. Maybe you don't wait until everything's perfect. Maybe you just start with what you've got, one ingredient at a time. That is deep. I've been taught not to speak with my mouth full, sorry. Thank you to every single one of you who've watched, subscribed, commented, and shared advice on the last video. I've genuinely learned so much from you all already. Next week, we're going to be planting a herb garden, making some elderflower cordial, and also doing some fun experiments with tomato plants that are practically gonna cost nothing. We'll be continuing to turn this little Yorkshire garden into something a bit more productive. So if you've got any tips, ideas, or things you'd like us to try in the future, leave them in the comments below. Because if I'm honest, half of these projects have come from you guys already. Anyway, if you would like to follow along with the journey, please subscribe. See you next Tuesday.